What's up, everybody? Before we get into the video, real quick, you guys know I'm working with two sports books now. The first one, Bovada.lv. It's my main book that I use. If you watch my channel for a long time, you know I always post tickets and my parlay screenshots and stuff. Most of those are off Bovada. They don't screw you over on no contest. They don't screw you on draws. If that happens on a parlay, it just drops off and you get paid for the rest of the parlay. They have quick, easy cash outs. What else, man? And also they give you the option to cash out your parlays early, which is one of the things that I like most about them. I know there's some other books that do that as well, but to me, I've tried them all. Bovada's my favorite out of them. It's one of three books that I use all the time, and so I'm gonna post just the link to the website down in the comments below. If you click that link, I'm sure you get a welcome bonus for signing up or anything. Also, if you're interested and you want my personal referral link for Bovada, just get in touch with me on social media or comment. Just give me a way to get a hold of you. I'll send you over the link, and I also got to give you my email so that we both get credit for it. And we both get a big bonus or whatever if you do it that way as well. So, and the next one is Bet Us, man. And if you're looking for a lot of good promo codes and bonuses and stuff like that, Bet Us is the site to go to, man. And if you can either scan the QR code on the screen or you can use the link below. I'm going to write the link in the comments right next to the Bovada one, and if you click on that and you sign up through that, it'll give you a 125% match on your first three deposits plus 10% gambler's insurance. And also they have other promo codes you could take advantage of after your initial deposit, whatever crypto bonus, whatever. Um, and what else? What else? What else? I think that's it, man. So appreciate your guys' time. Let's get into the video. What's up, everybody? We're here to go over UFC St. Louis. Derek Lewis taking on Rodrigo Nascimento. Real quick, I wanted to go over the results for the fights 2 days ago now. All three of my posted bets hit. These are all actually plus money plays. Had a plus 130 play on Kareem Silva that I put in really early. That was a quarter unit play. I had a 1 unit play that was Petrovic, Victor Henry, and Ketlin Souza. That was a plus 104, and that was a 1 unit play. And then I also had a two-fight parlay that was Mahashate and Euros Medic, and that was a plus 112. That was also a quarter unit play. All three of those hit. I also had a couple of my parlays hit even. Pull this up right here real quick. So yeah, I had a five-fight parlay that was a plus 291. That was pretty much my top line parlay that hit. Souza, Petrovic, Machate, Medic, Henry. All of those are people that I had, bigger plays on anyway. And then I had a seven-fight parlay hit that was Souza, Petrovic, Machate, Denise, Kareem Silva, Medic, and Henry, and that was a plus 956. I don't remember who killed my other two, my bigger parlays. And I don't remember who it was now. Either way, it was a good night for me, man. I wish it would have been a lot better, but I need to hit me a big one real quick before I you know, go broke with my job change and everything. I'm making a lot less money right now, so it's like I can't bring in enough money to catch up. But either way, man, let's uh let's get into this card. I don't think I need to pull any of those up. Um, as always, guys, thank you so much for your time and for caring what I have to say. You guys have no idea how much I appreciate every one of you guys. I do apologize for my last video I think it was like the first 10 minutes of the video. I kept saying, over and over again. And I think I stopped after the first fight, but I did not notice it until like I'd already posted the video. And then I went back to listen to it like days after I'd posted it. So I apologize. I'll do my best not to do that again. It's been a long time since I've done that, but please like and subscribe, guys. It'll help me out a lot. What if you're new to the channel? What I do is I go through and give out each of my pick for each of the fights, and at the end of the video, I give out my bets for free. I don't charge anybody for bets. I don't believe in that. That actually kind of irritates me that people want to charge money for bets. because there's no guarantee they're going to hit all the time. And even though it's kind of dumb for me because I'm not making any money doing this other than if my bets hit. But either way, I'm hoping that if you keep putting good stuff out there, eventually it'll come back to you. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, and also this show is available on Spotify, iTunes, stuff like that, all your major streaming platforms. And if you're not interested in watching my videos, you just want to see my picks and my bets, you can go to my social medias, which is highkick_fight picks. That's Instagram and TikTok. And then there's a Facebook group, High Kick Fight Picks on Facebook. And feel free, like I always say, dude, post y'all's bets in there. I want to see everybody's stuff. I want everybody to help each other make money in that group. That's my goal. And yeah, thank you guys as always. And let's get into this card. The only fight we lost so far was Michael Johnson, Matt Frivola. That'd have been a fun fight while it lasted. Um, it's a pretty decent card, man. There's some really good fights on here, man. And I feel like there's some really good spots to make money if you jump on it quick. So I'm trying to get this video out early for you guys. First up, we got Diego Ferreira taking on Matus Rebecki. Ferreira is 39 years old. He is 5'9" with a 74-inch reach. He is 18-5 and 9-5 in the UFC, and he's a plus 110 underdog. He's coming off a nasty knockout win over Michael Johnson. That was one where everybody was giving me shit for picking Ferreira in that spot, and I think I even had money on him as an underdog in that spot. And I picked him to win by submission, but he ended up getting a knockout. But either way, he showed that he still got it, and he showed that all it takes is one shot from him. He was primarily known for his jiu-jitsu early on in his career. 4 wins by knockout, 7 wins by submission. He's never been submitted, but has been knocked out a couple times. He's definitely no joke. He has some legit wins on his record. Jared Gordon, Oliver Mercier, Anthony Pettis, Rassam Kabalov, and he's only lost to really tough competition as well, man. So I mean, he is a tough guy, and he's 2 inches of height and 8 inches of reach advantage in this fight. And he's fighting out of Texas, so deep down, I kind of want him to win. Fighting out, I think he's trains at Fortis over here in Dallas, and he's well rounded. He does his best work when he's the one pushing forward, and it's hard for me to figure out what his best game plan for him to use, is in this fight. Should he stay on the outside and try to use his reach, or should he walk, Rebecki down and keep him backing up? Because usually Rebecki is the one moving forward, and that's how he has most of his success. He's always backing guys up and pushing them across the cage and just staying on them. Diego can put anyone away with that overhand right that he hit, Johnson with. But I think Rebecki will have a speed advantage. In the past, Diego's had trouble with legit wrestlers. And I do think Rebecki has legit wrestling. Diego's always in shape. His cardio is good. He's very tough, but this is a very tough matchup for him, man. And I think I'm pretty sure he took this on short notice. He's good at landing elbows on the break. He puts out a lot of volume. He landed over 300 strikes in his fight with Tosimov a few years ago, and uses his jab very well. He's dangerous submission, but we just don't get to see him use it ever. Doesn't have the best takedowns, and we haven't really seen him. Haven't really seen him get any submissions recently, especially off of his back. Where was I at? He shows 38% striking accuracy with 56% striking defense. 22% takedown accuracy with 63% takedown defense. He averages 0.71 takedowns per 15 minutes, basically 3/4 of a takedown. Same number on the submissions. He lands on average 4.66 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.42. He's taken on Matus Rebecki. He is 31 years old, 5'7" with a 66-inch reach. He is 19-1 and 3-0 in the UFC. He's a minus 260 favorite. 9 wins by knockout, 7 wins by submission. Very well rounded. Never been submitted. He's been very dominant, man. Even at a serious size, disadvantage pretty much in all his fights. His last fight, with Roosevelt Roberts, Roberts is way taller than him, and then Ruziboev, when he fought him, was way bigger than him. And this guy's just a real deal, man. Most of his wins have been by finish. Great wrestling, nasty calf kicks, big power in his punches, great cardio, very aggressive. Always moving forward, dangerous submissions. He's very good at getting on the inside and landing his big shots, and he's great at flowing from position to position on the ground. Great double legs and single leg takedowns. 16 fight win streak, and I think his wrestling is going to play a big factor in this fight. Diego is dangerous on the ground, but like I said, it's been a really long time since we've seen Diego get a submission off of his back. The numbers are pretty solid on rebecki. He's got a 54% striking accuracy with 64% striking defense, 73% takedown accuracy with 67% takedown defense. I guess that could be a little bit better. I don't think Ferreira's going to be able to take him down though. He averages over 4 takedowns per 15 minutes with 1.56 submissions as well, per fight. 1 knockdown per 15 minutes. And he lands on average 5.31 strikes per minute while absorbing 2.01s. Pretty good there. And he has an average fight time of 7 minutes and 12 seconds. Um, I've got to go with rebecki here to win this fight, even though I'm kind of a bigger fan of Diego's. Diego's a pretty cool guy, man. I've messaged him in the past and he's responded to me and stuff. But it's going to hurt to, have to win money betting against him here. But I've got rebecki to win. I mean, he's been getting finishes, man. So maybe I have to take him to win by TKO, TKO via ground and pound. Let's just say round 2. Oops, my bad. Went too far. um, Next up, we got JJ Aldrich taking on Veronica Hardy. And Aldrich is 31 years old. She is 5'5" with a 67.5-inch reach. She is 13-6 and 9-5 in the UFC. And she's a plus 120 underdog. This is interesting finally seeing JJ as an underdog, let alone seeing her as an underdog against a fighter that everyone had written off a few years ago. She's got 3 wins by knockout, no wins by submission. She's been knocked out once and submitted twice. And I've kind of done this every time I break down an Aldrich fight, man. Where I go and I really take a good look at her wins. And her last 2 wins are over fighters, on long losing streaks or that couldn't get a win in the UFC. She lost. Aldrich lost to the hotness that is Ariana Lipsky and Aaron Blanchfield and not a whole lot of super impressive wins, man. She beat Gillian Robertson. It's probably her best win. Hardy is favored on Tapology as well, but I wouldn't say that Hardy's last 2 opponents are very impressive either, honestly. But so it's a tricky fight here, man. And Aldrich is good at using her feints well to set up her counters. Great boxing, very fast with her hands, pops the jab out there good. Good at staying at her range, keeping the fight there. Nice elbows in close. She's gonna have a 3.5-inch reach advantage. Really boxing heavy approach. Doesn't throw a ton of kicks. She has good fundamentals, and pretty good takedown defense. She's good when she slows the fight down and kind of makes her opponent fight at her pace. And this is kind of one where I told myself I would probably take the underdog no matter what, but I was really hoping that Hardy would be that underdog, and she's not, surprisingly. So JJ shows 47% striking accuracy with 61% striking defense, 25% takedown accuracy with 67% takedown defense. And so those are the weaker parts of her game there. The takedown accuracy and the takedown defense, kind of questionable. She lands on average 4.05 strikes per minute while absorbing 4.53. Gets hit more than she lands, but not by much, though. And she's taking on Veronica Hardy. She is 28 years old. She is 5'4" with a 64-inch reach. She is 8-4-1 and 3-4 in the UFC, and she's a minus 145 favorite. 1 win by knockout, 2 wins by submission. Her win over Juliana Miller was very dominant performance, but we've seen that Miller has a lot to work on before she will ever, win a fight in the UFC. So while Hardy looked like a changed fighter, it was over a terrible competition. But Hardy has definitely made a ton of improvements all the way around. She looks so much better than she used to, and she's very fast, has nice kickboxing. I think she throws like a wider variety of strikes than JJ. She has a Taekwondo background. She stays light on her toes, always using her lateral movement, great counter striking. Throws a great jab. She dropped Jamie Lynn Horth with her jab in her last fight, which is pretty impressive for such a, being such a smaller fighter, compared to Horth. I think Hardy has the power advantage in this fight. I love her in and out movement. She didn't have any trouble last time out dealing with her opponent's big reach advantage. She likes to blitz in with 3 or 4 strike combinations, and then she's back out of harm's way. She's good at catching the kicks and sweeping the leg. Good at landing shots on the break. and she throws some, some hard up kicks off of her back. She, she hit Horth with one of those in the last fight. JJ may have trouble with Hardy's footwork, honestly, and her speed. Hardy shows 45% striking accuracy with 47% striking defense, 41% takedown accuracy with 57% takedown defense, and she averages 1.27 takedowns per 15 minutes, and she lands on average 3.27 strikes per minute while absorbing 4.10. And like I said, I had told myself to take the underdog here, but I want Hardy to win. I like what I've seen out of her, so I'll go with Hardy to win by decision. I think this fight goes to decision either way, so maybe that's a safe bet, or maybe fight starts round 2 or 3. Um, but it is, I mean, it's tempting to take Aldrich as underdog though, man. And you know, I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna have faith in Hardy. Everybody else seems to as well, so uh, I think I'll just stick with Hardy on this one. Next up, we got Waldo Cortez Acosta taking on Robelis de Spain. And Acosta is 32 years old. He is 6'4" with a 78-inch reach. He is 11-1 and 4-1 in the UFC, and he's a plus 140 underdog. I was really surprised that he didn't put, Arlovsky out in his last fight. Andre is towards the end of his career. I think he should have retired, a while ago. But other than that, Acosta's wins in the UFC have been over terrible competition. He has a boxing background, and you can tell that because that's all he does when he fights is he just punches. He doesn't do anything else, doesn't throw kicks, doesn't wrestle, doesn't do anything. But he is good at what he does, and he has nice, fast combinations. He hits hard, good cardio, always moving forward, pressure striking, really walking guys down. We saw him get beat solely with leg kicks by Delima, and that's a weakness that could definitely be taken advantage of, from here on out. And he has 5 wins by knockout and 1 win by submission. He's never been finished, but this may be the time he gets finished here. These are two very different strikers. You're talking basic boxing. You have Acosta versus Olympic level taekwondo. In Despain. So I mean, the odds aren't so good for him there. Acosta's possible advantage in this fight may be his cardio, just because Despain has knocked everyone out in like less than a minute. And that's about it. So Acosta could possibly outlast him here. It's definitely a possibility. Acosta shows 48% striking accuracy with 53% striking defense. He's never landed or shot a takedown in the UFC, and he has 60% takedown defense. He lands on average 6.13 strikes per minute while absorbing 4.02. He's taken on Robelis de Spain. He is 35 years old. He is 6'7" with an 87-inch reach. He is 5-0, and he's 1-0 in the UFC. He's a minus 170 favorite. All his wins have been by knockout. Very high level striking, very athletic and explosive. 3 inches of height and 9 inches of reach advantage in this fight. He's super fast, great counter striking, great kicks and combinations. The person who beats Despain will probably have to be a legit wrestler, most likely, and that's provided that Despain, doesn't have shitty cardio. You would think he would be all right. He's a super athlete, Olympic level athlete, just a monster. But sometimes we've seen people come in, get all those quick knockouts, and then boom, it gets past the first few minutes and they're done. So it's definitely a possibility. But in all likelihood, I don't think Acosta is going to be able to get Despain down if he tries. Most likely, he's going to walk forward like he always does and walk into a big shot. So I've got Despain to win by knockout round 1. And yeah, he's kind of unproven, so I wouldn't hate anybody for taking a dog shot on him, but at least he's not like a minus 400 favorite here or anything this time. So I think Acosta's style plays right into what Despain does. So I'm gonna go with Despain to land one of those crazy shots and put him away pretty quickly. Next up, we got Trey Waters taking on Billy Goff. Trey Waters is 29 years old. 29 years old, 6'5" with a 77-inch reach. He is 8-1 and 1-0 in the UFC, and he's a minus 175 favorite. Yeah, this guy's a huge welterweight, man. He may be the tallest welterweight in the UFC, actually. I'm pretty sure. 3 wins by knockout, 3 wins by submission. His only loss was by submission to Gabriel Bonfin on the Contender Series. Most of Trey's wins have been by finish. He had a long amateur career as well. He went 7-2-1 as an amateur, all finishes. He's going to have a 4.5-inch reach advantage, 7 inches of height. He uses it very well, man. Great at fighting long and managing distance and countering. I really like what I've seen from Trey so far, but he is he is fighting one tough fucking dude here, man. Like Goff is known for getting his ass kicked and coming back and landing a big shot, and putting people away. So it's a crazy fight, to bet on. He keeps his hands very low, uses his jab very well, really nice combinations. He's just really good at kind of luring guys in and stepping back and landing his counter shots. You don't really want to strike with Trey Waters, man. All his losses are as a pro and an amateur have been by submission. So I mean, that's definitely what you want to look for. And he is usually open to be hit with leg kicks. We'll see if Goff takes advantage of that in this fight. The way Waters throws, that he throws like an angling off left hook. It's kind of like a perfect technique, and he always catches guys with it and hurts them with it. And he throws nice straight shots, man. And if you're throwing punches at Waters, you can't throw one at a time. You have to throw long combinations and stay moving forward because the first one, there's no way in hell the first one's going to hit him. You're coming from so far out, unless you can match his reach. Waters has really good head movement, great at rolling with punches. I find it kind of funny that Goff is actually the one favorite on Tapology, but I don't know, man. He is. I've seen crazier things, man, but it's just that Trey Waters is so hard to get to, and I don't know, man. I'm not sure that Goff's going to be able to come back and land that big punch, you know. But Billy Goff is 25 years old. He is 5'10" with a 72.5-inch reach. He is 9-2 and 1-0 in the UFC. He's a plus 145 underdog. He has 7 wins by knockout, no wins by submission. He's never been submitted, but has been knocked out one time, which on further inspection wasn't a legit knockout loss. It was excuse me, it was a fight that was stopped due to a cut by a doctor. So he's never been legitimately knocked out. Goff is famous, like I said, for taking a beating and coming back and getting the knockout. And once again in his last fight, he was getting tagged up, hit with a jab, and hit with these hard shots, and then boom, man, he came back and landed a nice shot to the body, and crumpled his opponent. And Goff doesn't throw a lot of calf kicks. Does throw a lot of volume. He kind of stays right in the pocket, which is what he kind of needs to do against Waters. But he's got to get in there, and get in the reach without getting tagged with a big shot. Get on the inside, which is once he gets there, he needs to stay there and throw those shots. But if he can stay in front of Waters and take away that reach advantage, he has a good shot at landing a big shot and hurting Waters. But uh, I think Goff probably has a power advantage, just based on what I've seen in Waters' last fight. And even though, I mean, he's got a lot of finishes himself, it just seems like Goff has, a lot of power on his shots. But man, it'll be a tough to deal with the reach of Trey Waters. And I know, Goff isn't scared. He's going to go out there and he's going to try and get that knockout, and that's what makes him dangerous. But, he may have a speed advantage as well. But it's a scary fight, man. I have a feeling this could look a lot like, uh, Trey Waters' last fight with John Quinlan. Quinlan kind of stuck on the outside, not being able to get in and land those big shots, because Quinlan's just a power puncher. He's not a very technical striker. Um, that's a fight they should have put together. They should have put Billy Goff versus Josh Quinlan, so we could see Quinlan get knocked out again. But either way, I'm going to be going with Waters to win this fight. I'm going to take it to win by decision. Staying on the outside, using his reach, sticking his chin out there, making Goff miss, and just countering him with his jab and his check left hook and all that stuff, man. So next up, we got Chase Hooper taking on Vyacheslav Borshchev. This is one I'm kind of really torn on. I mean, I know how good of a striker Borshchev is, but his takedown defense is just so terrible. It's hard to go with him. Chase Hooper is 24 years old. He is 6'1" with a 74-inch reach. He is 13-3-1 and 5-3 in the UFC, and he's a plus 155 underdog. 4 wins by knockout, 6 wins by submission. Hooper has looked like a new man up at 155. This is a classic striker versus grappler matchup here, and normally I would say go with the grappler, obviously. Borshchev is one of the best strikers we've ever seen, but his takedown defense is terrible as hell, and Chase is very good on the ground. So this is a very tough fight for me to pick, like I said, and because we've seen Borshchev taken down in so many of his fights, this is one where I could look dumb either way. I probably won't include this fight on anything. Um, I've talked so much shit in the past about Hooper and stuff, and then he come out and prove me wrong in his last 2 fights. So I mean, you got to respect it. Borshchev doesn't stand a chance on the ground with Hooper, but Hooper doesn't stand a chance on the feet with Borshchev, and the fight starts on the feet. I'm more of a Borshchev fan. I want him to win, but man, his takedown defense is bad. But Chase is going to have a 5-inch reach advantage, 2 inches of height. Chase is known for his jiu-jitsu, great submissions, very flexible. Very long. Horrible striking defense though, does get hit a lot. But we've seen him at times, moving forward and staying on guys and just landing the volume and kind of just staying on his opponents and not giving them a chance to really fire back like he did with Fior in that fight. We've seen Chase knocked out by way worse strikers than Borshchev, but that was down a weight class, man. And Chase shows 52% striking accuracy with 36% striking defense, 23% takedown accuracy with 56% takedown defense, which doesn't 23% takedown accuracy doesn't really support my idea of him taking Borshchev down, but he averages 1.42 takedowns per 15 minutes, 2.21 submissions per 15 minutes, and he lands on average 4.86 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.59. He's taken on Vyacheslav Borshchev, Slavoklas, 32 years old, 5'11 with a 69-inch reach, 7-3-1 and 2-2-1 in the UFC. He's a minus 185 favorite. 6 wins by knockout, no wins by submission. He's never been finished. The only reason that his last fight was a draw was because Nazim Saidkov fought like an idiot for some reason and didn't keep up with his wrestling. Borshchev is a very high level kickboxer, very powerful. He will have the striking advantage and probably the power advantage in this fight as well for sure. He's very technical. I can't say enough good things about his striking, man. Really nice kicks to all levels, very nice head movement, great striking defense. Really fast hands, throws great combinations, nice counter striking, throws a lot of punches to the body. He's never attempted a takedown in the UFC, but no doubt that if he can keep the fight on the feet here, he can knock out Chase Hooper. He's super technical, very accurate. It's just that takedown defense, man, that worries me. 36% takedown defense. So never landed a takedown in the UFC, but why would he need to? 58% striking accuracy with 56% striking defense. Averages 1.21 knockdowns per fight and lands on average 5.82 strikes per minute while absorbing 4.07. As far as the decision on this, guys, man, I'm not going to bet on this fight at all. I'm not even going to include it in a parlay. I guess I'll pick Borshchev to win by knockout, but won't surprise me one bit. That if Chase goes out there, does something, some kind of trip or whatever, gets him down and submits him fairly easily. So honestly, it would kind of be smarter to take the underdog and Hooper, take the value if you're going to bet on this fight. But I'll pick Borshchev to win, taking to win by knockout, but not going to be betting on this fight whatsoever, man. Next up, we got Jared Gooden taking on Kevin Jousset. And Jared Gooden is 30 years old. He is 6 foot tall with a 77-inch reach. He is 23-9 and 2-4 in the UFC, and he's a plus 175 underdog. 11 wins by knockout, 8 wins by submission. He's never been submitted. So let me say, man, I'm a big fan of Gooden's, man. I don't know why, I just am. I've always wanted to see him do well. Just seems like a cool guy, I guess, and he hits like a truck. Hasn't ever been finished in the UFC. Just really his takedown defense has kind of been what's costing him. He usually gets taken down, and his opponents just kind of hold him down so they don't have to deal with the power on the feet. I picked him last time out against Turman, and I was surprised, that he won by submission, but it was that big shot that he landed before that started it all. And but he was kind of he got hurt in that fight, and then he came back and landed his own big shot. So he was losing that fight up to that point. He was throwing great calf kicks last time out, nice check left hook, hard jab. He may have the power advantage. He's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage, good hip throws. The right hook is his best punch. He's always got a chance, if he can keep it on the feet. Unfortunately, I don't see a lot of advantages for him outside of, the power in this fight. He shows 49% striking accuracy with 48% striking defense, 100% takedown accuracy because he's landed the 2 takedowns that he's attempted. So, doesn't mean he's a super high-level wrestler or anything. Just means he's got 2 takedowns that he tried. 65% takedown defense. He averages half a takedown per 15 minutes, and he lands on average 5.08 strikes per minute while absorbing 6.68. So he does get hit a lot, but he does put out decent volume himself. He's taking on Kevin Jousset. He is 31 years old. He is 6'2 with a 75-inch reach. He is 10-2 and 2-0 in the UFC. It's a minus 215 favorite. And so I've had money on Kevin in his last two fights. Trains at City Kickboxing, 4 wins by knockout, 1 win by submission. He was only finished once in his career, and it was in his third pro fight by Jack Della Maddalena. I think Kevin is the more technical striker out of these two. I don't think it's a good idea for Gooden to keep his hands low like he did in his last fight. Um, Jousset throws great calf kicks. He seems to be able to take a punch, great jab, throws it from down low, so it's hard to see where it's coming from. He showed us in his debut that he's not just a striker, man. They may that may come into play here, as well, man. Gooden's weakness is his takedown defense. Why would Kevin try and why wouldn't he try and take advantage of that? You know what I mean? Um, Kevin fights very well at range. Does keep his chin up a little high, in my opinion. He has a judo background as well, so good throws and hip tosses. He beat a very tough veteran in Keon Song last time out. Uses his lead hand position well and feints a lot with the rear hand, to set up his strikes, and throws great kicks with the lead leg as well. Goes to the body a lot with his punches. Good teep kicks to the liver. He'll probably have a speed advantage. If I didn't say that already. Jousset was the Hex MMA, double champion over in Australia. He hasn't had enough fights for me to go over the numbers yet, but I expect that jab of his and his leg kicks to be a big factor in this fight. Possibly even get some takedowns. Unfortunately, I've got to go against my buddy Jared Gooden. I've got Jousset to win by decision because Gooden's tough, but Gooden is dangerous, so be wary. But I got Jousset to win. Sorry if y'all can hear my dogs barking; they never stop. Next up, we got Jake Hadley taking on Charles Johnson. Hadley is 27 years old. He is 5'7" with a 70-inch reach. He is 10-2 and 2-2 in the UFC, and he's a minus 155 favorite. 3 wins by knockout and 5 wins by submission. He's never been finished, but he did let me down big time last time out against Cody Durden. His takedown defenses looked terrible, and he was a big favorite in that fight. And honestly, he got beat everywhere, in his last fight. Didn't look good at all. Um, Almost had a triangle at one point or an arm bar for a little bit, but didn't get it. Hadley went 7-2 as an amateur, so um, he does have nice boxing, good power on his shots, and he has dangerous jiu-jitsu. But we saw him get beat by a very high level grappler in Nascimento, and then a good wrestler in Cody Durden. So the obvious weakness in his game is his takedown defense and you know his ability to get back up as well. He's young, he's going to be improving, but honestly, his 2 wins have been over terrible competition, and he got his ass kicked, by the two good guys that he fought. So it's hard for me to get to him either way. But I felt the same about both of these guys in the past. But at least Charles Johnson went out and did his thing last time out and got a good victory. Jake throws great hooks to the body. He's always moving forward. Great kicks to the body as well. I don't know that Hadley's wrestling will be good enough to get Johnson down if he tries, which is how people have beat Johnson in the past. Um, but Hadley does have good sweeps. He was making some dumb decisions in his last fight, choosing to engage in the wrestling with Durden instead of trying to win the fight, um, which was, I mean, I just couldn't wrap my mind around that. It was terrible. Hadley has a really cool way of deflecting punches with his forearms, so decent striking defense. And Hadley's striking does look pretty sharp most of the time. Uh, you know, uh, Hadley's probably gonna have a speed advantage. He shows 44% striking accuracy with 61% striking defense. 25% takedown accuracy with 36% takedown defense. He averages 2.24 submission attempts per 15 minutes, and he lands on average 3.42 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.20. He's taking on Charles Johnson. He is 33 years old. He is 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. He is 14-6 and 3-4 in the UFC. He's a plus 130 underdog. 5 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission. He's never been finished. He's fought a lot of really tough competition. Way tougher competition than Jake Hadley. Came through as a big underdog last time out. He has great boxing. He's used all his opponents trying to take him down all the time, and his takedown defense has really improved a lot because of that. He also has great cardio. He always comes on really hard in the third round. Keeps his hands real low. Great counters, great submission defense, good front kicks. Good at rolling with punches really well and deflecting some of the power off the shots. Um, he showed a little bit of wrestling of his own in his last fight, man, and he got a few takedowns, man, over a a Zot Maxim who's kind of a really everybody thought really highly of him, as a young prospect coming in, and Johnson was able to steal the last 2 rounds from him. Um, he got hurt a few times, and it was like it woke him up, in the first round, and he slowly started to take over, as the fight went on, just with little things that he was doing, like landing knees on the break after stuffing the takedowns, popping right back up to his feet whenever he was taken down. Very athletic, switches back and forth to set up his strikes, throws good combinations, good uppercuts. Was attacking a lot of submissions as well off his back, in the last fight. Landing jumping knees, to the body. Johnson shows 55% striking accuracy with 59% striking defense. 23% takedown accuracy, but he landed some good takedowns, like I said last time out. 63% takedown defense, and he lands on average 4.45 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.15. I'm going to take the dog here, man, and go with Charles Johnson just because I feel this fight could go either way. So I'll take Johnson and win by decision. Plus, he got a win over a tough opponent last time out. I don't know. I don't think Jake Hadley could beat Azat Maxim. So I'll definitely go with Johnson, man. Next up, we got Alice Caceres taking on Sean Woodson. I'm probably going to catch a lot of shit for my pick on this one. Uh, Alex Caceres is 35 years old, coming up on 36, 5'10 with a 73.5-inch reach. He is 21 and 14 and 16 and 12 in the UFC, and he's a plus 160 underdog. 4 wins by knockout, 7 wins by submission. Um, he's only been knocked out once, but has been submitted several times earlier on in his career, but not recently. He's had some success here late, in his career. Man, he's kind of had like a resurgence, and he's been having competitive fights with tough competition, even in his losses. He had that nasty knockout over Julian Erosa. Caceres is very good, has great striking. Sorry, not the biggest knockout puncher, but a great counter striker, good head movement and footwork. He absolutely has a chance to win this fight, man. He throws nice straight shots, and this guy's been in the UFC since 2010, and man, he's definitely better than he ever has been right now, in my opinion, honestly. And he's been getting a lot more finishes, mostly submissions, but a knockout here and there as well. And he's been staying active in grappling tournaments as well, and he just has great tricky footwork, switches stances back and forth to set up strikes constantly. You know, um, he doesn't really. I wouldn't say he pushes forward, but he's good from the outside with his long range attacks. He's coming off a competitive fight with Giga Chikaze, where he was who's a super high level striker, man, and he was actually outlanding Chikaze in that fight. Great kicks. Throws kicks with his league leg. Um, what else? Good in and out movement. He's always circling off. He doesn't back straight up very often, and he's definitely fought the tougher competition out of these two. He's hard to hit, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like him in this spot, man. He was, like I said, he was putting up a good fight against Giga Chikaze. I think Chikaze would beat Sean Woodson. And the way he set up that kick when he knocked out Julian Erosa was just beautiful, man. He threw that straight left, and he just used that to get Erosa to duck off to the side so he could come over the top of that kick. And he fights mostly southpaw. Has a very kick heavy attack. He'll usually throw the kicks first, and then when his opponents are trying to counter the kicks, he comes in with his hands and uses his boxing. He shows 51% striking accuracy with 63% striking defense. Great number there. 68% takedown accuracy. So that's a pretty good number as well, with 65% takedown defense. He averages half a takedown per 15 minutes, and he lands on average 4.16 strikes per minute while absorbing 2.93. He's taking on Sean Woodson. He is 31 years old. He is 6'2 with a 78-inch reach. He's 11-1-1 and 5-1-1 in the UFC. He's a minus 195 favorite. And starting off, man, um, I I have a big issue with Sean Woodson's record. Even though there's nothing I can do to change that. Obviously, I don't know if anybody else agrees with me, but if you go back, man, and he got his ass kicked by Luis Saldana. Almost got finished, in that fight a few times, and because a point got taken away, it wound up being a draw. But he got his ass kicked that fight. He should have lost. But and and then I 100% think that he lost his fight that he had with Yusuf Salal. I think the judges robbed Salal. Go back and watch it, man. I think you would agree if you pay attention to it, man. All of his wins in the UFC except his last fight have been over terrible competition. Charles Jourdain is a good win, no doubt. I'm not saying Sean Woodson sucks. I know he's a great fighter. Just in my opinion, his record it shouldn't be kind of as flawless as you would like it. As they would like to make it seem. He's a big, tall, guy for this division. They're really trying to push him to the top. So I understand why they're like, you know, why they're treating it the way they are or whatever. But he's not really a big finisher. He may be I think he's the tallest featherweight in the UFC probably. Um, and he's going to be a few inches taller here and have a 4.5 inch reach advantage. Charles Jourdain just couldn't figure out how to deal with the reach of Woodson, his last fight. Sean has great boxing, moves his hands around a lot, kind of like the Diaz brothers used to do, to make it hard to see where the punches are coming from. He's very good at using his height and his reach. And he will also kind of switch stances back and forth at times, to set up stuff. And he doesn't overthrow and get off balance. Great dirty boxing in close. He's so tall, man. He's hard to take down, but he does eat a lot of leg kicks. And he will be fighting someone here. Alex Caceres is, I mean, he's a little bit taller and longer than the people that Sean Woodson's used to fighting. Um, even though he's still got a reach advantage here, he's used to having like Sean's used to having like 7 or 8 inches of reach, or even more. So I mean, and the one thing that Caceres does that a lot of other people Woodson has fought hasn't done well is, he's good at landing. He's good at using his long range weapons. He's good at landing his kicks from the outside and then blitzing him with his punches and then getting out of the way. And he's very hard to hit. So I mean, I think Caceres is bringing something a little different, to the table than the past people that Woodson has fought. If Caceres was more of a knockout puncher, I think this would be his fight all day, in my opinion. This could be a very close fight. Neither of these guys are knocking a lot of people out. They both put out good volume. Sometimes I'm guilty of thinking a fighter has a good shot to win, but then not going with them or talking myself out of the pick because everyone else is going with the other guy. And sometimes I just kind of and I do my best not to do that, but occasionally it happens. Um, but Sean shows 47% striking accuracy with 58% striking defense, 63% takedown accuracy with 84% takedown defense. He averages 3/4 of a takedown per 15 minutes, and he lands on average 5.40 strikes per minute while absorbing 4. Um, I'm going to take Alex Caceres to win this fight by decision. I won't get heavily invested, but I'll definitely have him in at least one parlay. Probably as the final leg of a parlay. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Woodson wins. He's a big favorite. He's a good fighter, no doubt. I just think that Caceres has been, fighting tough competition here lately and doing decent. Like, I mean, he fought Sadiq Yusuf. I know Sadiq's on a bad run now, but I thought Caceres could have possibly won that fight, even though it was a unanimous decision to Yusuf. I thought Caceres, was keeping it fairly close. And same thing with Giga Chikadze. So uh, we're gonna get to see, Sean Woodson fighting somebody who's been, dealing with tough competition here lately. Anyway, give me shit all you want. I don't care. Uh, next up, we got Tabitha Ricci taking on Tisa Torres. And Tabitha Ricci is 29 years old. She is 5'1" with a 61-inch reach. She is 9-2 and 4-2 in the UFC, and she's a minus 130 favorite. 1 win by knockout, 3 wins by submission. She's never been submitted, but was knocked out once by Manfrot. I think that was her debut up a weight class. She's very well rounded, coming off a super close fight with Lupita Godinez just a few months ago. And while her opponent hasn't fought in 2 years, man, and Richie's been very active. Torres hasn't fought in 2 years and is coming back off of having a baby, so she's probably going to be a little rusty. But both of these women have the same height and reach. Richie has great Muay Thai, great Jiu-Jitsu, great takedown defense, throws nice combinations, great calf kicks. Not a big knockout puncher. She's pretty strong in the clinch with her body lock. She pushes a great pace, doesn't slow down. One thing I will say is she tends to throw a lot of strikes. But she makes those sounds and all, and it sounds good. But half the time she isn't really landing that stuff. So while it appears she's doing something, sometimes she's really not. She's missing a lot. But in this fight, I do think she has the better striking, more technical striking, and as long as she can keep it on the feet, she's going to have a lot of success. But possibly, she may have the opportunity to get the takedowns here and control Torres on the ground um, as well. So Richie shows 37% striking accuracy, like I said, 60% striking defense, 41% takedown accuracy with 71% takedown defense. She averages 3.39 takedowns per 15 minutes, and she lands on average 4.41 strikes per minute while absorbing 4.86. And she's taking on Tisha Torres. She is 34 years old. She is 5'1" with 61-inch reach, 13-6 and 9-6 in the UFC, and she's a plus 125 underdog. And I'm really curious about the line. Here people are what are they worried about with Tisha against Richie? Because Richie's usually been typically a pretty big favorite in most of her fights. Are they worried about Tisha's strength or what is it? Tisha's never been finished. Sorry, one win by knockout, one win by submission. So not a finisher. Um, I thought she could have won her last fight against Mackenzie Dern, but either way, having a close fight with Mackenzie Dern isn't a very good look. Um, aside from Torres beating Angela Hill twice, most of Tisha's wins are over people who didn't make it in the UFC or aren't around anymore. Um, but she has fought and lost to a lot of tough competition. A lot of champions. Wei Lee, Jessica Andrade. All them. Torres does always look jacked and very strong. She's going to be bigger muscle wise in this fight. She's very fast. Those hard combinations probably hits harder than Richie, even though she doesn't really get any knockouts. But Tisha goes to the body really well with her punches, pushes a very hard pace, very explosive. After watching the tape, this could be a close fight. The only thing that pushes me away from taking a shot on Torres, is that she's been out for over 2 years and is coming back off having a baby, man. So um, I feel like I have to see her, come out and fight once, and really, really, really get back in the swing of things before I, pick her. Um, I think, Richie's, like I said, probably got the advantage in the grappling, more dangerous on the ground. It's close on the feet. Tisha shows 49% striking accuracy with 61% striking defense, 15% takedown accuracy with 62% takedown defense. She averages just above half a takedown per 15 minutes, sorry. And she lands on average 4.74 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.59. I do like the way Torres was throwing side kicks in some of her fights that I saw. I could see her having success with those. But I am going to be going with Richie to win this fight by decision, just because Torres has been out for 2 years, man. Next up, we got Alonzo Minefield taking on Carlos Ulberg. It's a great fight. Alonzo is he is 36 years old. He is 6 foot tall with a 76-inch reach. He is 15-3-1 and 8-3-1 in the UFC, and he's a plus 170 underdog. 9 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission. He's a big, powerful guy. He tends to land the bigger shots. Coming off a impressive win over Dustin Jacoby, and Justin Jacoby is a great kickboxer, but not the most powerful guy. Even though he hurt Alonzo a few times in that fight, um, wasn't powerful enough to get Alonzo to respect what was coming back at him. Olberg can definitely put your lights out, so this won't be an easy fight for Alonzo. In the past, we've seen Alonzo's takedown defense and his cardio have been his weaknesses, but he's not going to have to worry about takedowns in this fight at all, I don't think. But he may be smart to try and get Olberg down to the ground himself, though. I think we all can agree that Alonzo doesn't have the most technical striking. It's just about power with him. He's very fast and explosive. He throws a lot of wide looping shots. Doesn't throw a lot of kicks. Jacoby had a very dominant first round against Alonzo, but Alonzo was able to steal the last 2 rounds just by landing the bigger shots. He dropped Jacoby once in each round. And was able to steal them. It's definitely not pretty when it comes to what Alonzo does, but it's effective when he lands. And there's not much more, man. Alonzo does have dangerous submissions, nasty chokes. He's very powerful and strong, like I said, but he has 58% striking accuracy with 50% striking defense, 33% takedown accuracy with 76% takedown defense. He averages just under one knockdown per fight, lands on average 3.92 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.51. He's taking on Carlos Ulberg. He is 33 years old. He is 6'4" with a 77-inch reach. He is 9-1 and 5-1 in the UFC, and he's a minus 210 favorite. 6 wins by knockout, 1 win by submission. He's had fight after fight fall out here lately. World class kickboxing, coming off his first submission win in his career, which is very impressive, and he got it in the third round, man. And which in the third round typically Alonzo slows down quite a bit. Olberg is 4 inches taller, but he only has 1 inch of reach advantage. He's very technically sound. He throws nice straight shots, dangerous counter striking. Throws super hard kicks, very fast, nasty uppercuts, great check hook. Um, That's one of his best shots, actually, that check left hook. He knocked out Tafon Chukwe, which is, I mean, Chukwe's lost a lot of fights, but it's very hard to knock out that guy, man. And Ulberg put him out fairly easily. I like that Ulberg kind of answered all the questions we had in his last fight. He fought almost the whole fight dominantly, and then got a submission victory late in the third round. So, I mean, to me, that answered all the questions I had about him. His leg kicks are devastating. He hit Nicolau. What was that guy's name? Uh, Nicolau Mariano. Um, he hit him with like two calf kicks and shut his leg down pretty quickly in that fight. Um, he's good at using his jab and pulling his opponents into his punches. He has great footwork and head movement. I can't say enough good things about his striking. He will have a huge speed advantage. His numbers are pretty solid all the way around. 60% striking accuracy with 52% striking defense. 75% takedown accuracy with 75% takedown defense. He averages 1.5 knockdowns per fight, just under one takedown per fight. It lands on average 7.29 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.59. And he has average fight time of 6 minutes and 45 seconds. I'm going with Olberg to win this fight. I'm going to take the win by knockout, round two. But it's a scary fight, man. I do think that the technical skills of Olberg are, going to give Minefield a lot of problems, along with the speed. Um, Olberg's typically pretty good about playing the matador and staying out of the way of those big shots and then landing that big counter shot. And everything he lands hurts people. So I expect it'll be the same with Alonzo, man. If he gets hit with one of those big shots, that little uppercut on the inside whenever he's ducking down to overthrow on those punches or whatever, I think Carlos can put him out. The fight I've been wanting them to make for a long time is Carlos Ulberg versus Dustin Jacoby. I've posted stuff about that on my social media. It's like, man, this is the fight everyone wants to see. Of course, we probably would have seen it if Minefield hadn't got the nod in Jacoby's last fight. But next up, we got Terrence McKinney taking on Esteban Ribovics. And Terrence McKinney is 29 years old. He's 5'10 with a 73.5-inch reach. He is 15-6 and 5-3 in the UFC, and he's a plus 165 underdog. 7 wins by knockout, 8 wins by submission. He's never gone to a decision. All of his losses have been by finish, and all of his wins have been by finish. Um, uh, yeah, He's been knocked out 4 times and submitted twice. Sorry, I was confusing myself there. He's always dangerous early, man. Huge power in the first round. Has a wrestling background, and it's his cardio, man, that has cost him in quite a few of his fights, man. His last 2 fights, he beat guys who have never won a fight in the UFC and really probably don't belong in the UFC. Um, he's going to have the wrestling advantage. He will have a 4.5-inch reach advantage as well. And if I thought he could keep up a heavy wrestling pace for 3 rounds, I would say it's his fight all day. But both his last 2 wins were first round finishes, really quick. Looking at his record, all his wins are quick finishes. Anytime he gets extended, past the first round, he loses. Terrence is favorite on Tapology. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's training down here by where I live now, somewhere. I think he's training with Kevin Holland down here, around Fort Worth area. He's very good, man, at landing those knees in close. He's so fast and explosive early, and he comes out hard, pushes a tough pace, great head kicks. Um, I wouldn't say he's very technical, but he blitzes guys and overwhelms them. And once he has guys covering up, he just unloads on them, and most people can't survive it. His best bet here is to try and get a quick submission, get those takedowns early. Look to take the back. He does have great takedowns, good at flowing from position to position early, good trips. Um, he has a power advantage early as well, but it is even in the fight that he had with Nazim Saidkov, a guy that I'm really high on. Terrence went out, he got a takedown quick, didn't use a lot of energy, had the back most of the round, and then the next round it was like he was gassed out, and Nazim took him down, got him down, easily submitted him quickly. Just can't go with McKinney because of that, man. And I want to pick McKinney. I'd like to see him win, but if he can't make it past the first round, how can you pick him? Especially since Ribovics has never been finished. So Terrence shows 52% striking accuracy with 45% striking defense, 37% takedown accuracy with 86% takedown defense. He averages 1.5 knockdowns per fight, one submission per 15 minutes, and he averages 3.52 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he lands on average 4.46 strikes per minute while absorbing 2.51. He's taking on Esteban Ribovics. He is 5'10" with a 69-inch reach. He is 12-1 and 1-1 in the UFC, and he's a minus 200 favorite. 6 wins by knockout, 5 wins by submission. He's never been finished. He's only gone to a decision twice in his career. And he has great hands, man. Very fast, great combinations. He made his debut against Loic Radzhabov, who was just way bigger than him. And he had his moments in that fight, but he's kind of struggled with the takedown defense and stuff like that. Lost the decision. Got taken down again in the first round of his last fight against was that Camilla Kirk? Yeah, Camilla Kirk. Um, Lost the first round, but after that he had two solid rounds. He took the second and the third. He almost finished Kirk in those rounds. He's got a good Kimura. He'll use that to sweep or get back to his feet on the ground. And he's the more technical striker out of these two, but he will have to survive the first few minutes or slow the fight down if McKinney comes out crazy. He throws great calf kicks, good submission defense. He has the cardio advantage, and late in the fight, if he gets there, you will see him light McKinney up with his hands because Ruziboev has very nice combinations, and he usually throws those hard hooks to the body. His takedown defense has improved a lot. He lands great elbows in close. But he tends to throw more than one shot at a time. It's always at least two, but most of the time it's 3 or 4 punch combinations. And that's why he's so accurate and he lands so often. He hasn't had enough fights in the UFC for me to go over the numbers. I could see Terrence having success early, but I think Ribovics will get a second round knockout here. Next up, we got the co-main event: Joaquin Buckley taking on Nursultan Rezboev. And Buckley is 30 years old. He is 5'10" with a 76-inch reach. He is 18-6 and 8-4 in the UFC, and he's a minus 138 favorite. 13 wins by knockout and no wins by submission. He's never been submitted, but has been knocked out a few times. Um, I don't know how this 6'5" giant is going to make 170, but that's what it says this fight is at. Apparently, he's done it in the past, but I don't like this fight for Buckley. I think this is a very dumb decision for him to take this fight, even if he wins, because Buckley he just beat Luque, a ranked opponent, and he should be fighting guys in the top 10 or 12 of the division, and not taking a fight with a guy that's not even ranked. That's a giant. Buckley is one of my favorite fighters. I'm a huge fan, but in the past he struggled against tall guys that weren't even as tall as Rezboev is. So like Imavov and Kevin Holland, both of them beat Buckley. This is just a bad idea. I hope he wins. But yeah, he has looked amazing at welterweight. He's fast and explosive, great head movement, great footwork. He uses a lot of movement, stays circling, very powerful kicks, fights southpaw. He looks good, man, but sometimes the way he blitzes in, with his hooks and his head movement kind of reminds me of Mike Tyson. Not saying he's as good as Mike Tyson, but it's fun to watch, and he'll need to be more careful blitzing in on this guy, man. He needs to go out and create the angles, draw out the punches with feints, and counter on the inside with big shots. But Buckley went, harder and harder through the whole fight in his last two fights, and it was pretty awesome. But he shows 34% striking accuracy with 58% striking defense, 37% takedown accuracy with 69% takedown defense. He averages 1.40 takedowns per fight, just under one knockdown per fight. He lands on average 4.06 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.26. He's taken Nursultan Rezboev. He is 30 years old. He's 6'5". He's got a 76-inch reach. 34, 8-2, and 2-0 in the UFC, and he's a plus 118 underdog. The last time Rezboev fought a guy this size, he caught a kick and knocked him out quickly. That was against Bruno Silva in his debut. And he's very well rounded, 12 wins by knockout, 20 wins by submission. He's only been knocked out and submitted one time apiece in his career, very long career. Now he's way taller, but they actually have the same reach. But either way, it's going to be hard for Buckley to find the chin on a guy that far up. This guy came into the UFC with a ton of experience. He's on a 10-fight win streak. This guy's fought all over the world. Like I said, he's only been finished twice in over 40 fights. All but 2 of his wins have been by finish, so it's fair to say he's a well-rounded monster. Made light work of the guy who knocked out Gregory Rodriguez. He started training karate at 11 years old. Couldn't find much more information about his training. Has had some boxing fights as well, and I mean, I watched him knock out a guy with a slam in Brave FC, and he's good at using his length. He hits like a truck, and I've seen him taken down a lot, but on some of the tape I watched. But he's good at avoiding damage, and he's good at using like his Kimura to sweep and get back up to his feet. But his limbs are so long that he's dangerous with submissions from everywhere. And you have to find most of his stuff on YouTube if you're interested in watching it. A lot of it's written in Russian, so it's kind of hard to figure out which fight you're watching, who he's fighting, because if you can't read Russian, like I couldn't figure out what I was watching. Um, but great knees, he has a lot of wins with knees because he's so tall. Great ground and pound. Has some kickboxing fights as well. He's done it all, and he has many advantages in this fight, man. He may be better in a lot of areas here, honestly. He's had a long, full career, develop his skills. Somebody should really talk to Buckley and be like, bro, don't throw away your ranking on this on this fight, man, because I don't like this matchup for him, man. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to take Rezboyev here. I hate it, provided that he makes weight well and everything. I'm gonna take him to win by second round knockout. Unfortunately. Next up, we got the main event: Derek Lewis taking on Rodrigo Nascimento. No, Derek Lewis is 39 years old. He is 6'3" with a 79-inch reach. He is 27-12 and 18-10 in the UFC. He's a minus 170 favorite. And I mean, Lewis is one of my favorite fighters. I'm going to be cheering for all the fighters from Texas always. He's 1-4 in his last five. But his losses have all been to top level competition. And we've seen that when he takes a step down in competition, he gets the knockout, like against Chris Dawkins or DeLima. Quick finishes. He may hit harder than everyone in the UFC. 22 wins by knockout, 1 win by submission. He was surprisingly able to survive 5 rounds with Jolton Almeida last time out, which I figured that would end pretty quickly by submission. All it takes is one punch from Lewis, man, and he's definitely fought the tougher competition. Nascimento hasn't fought anybody tough. He's the better striker. I'm not sure if it's time to start counting Lewis out yet against guys like this, anyway. Um, Lewis shows 34% striking accuracy with 58% striking defense, 37% takedown accuracy with 69% takedown defense. He somehow averages 1.40 takedowns per fight, averages just under 1 knockdown per fight, and he lands on average 4.06 strikes per minute while absorbing 3.26. Um, Nascimento is 31 years old. He is 6'2" with 80-inch reach. He's 11-1-1 and 4-1-1 in the UFC. He's a plus 140 underdog. 2 wins by knockout and 6 wins by submission. Never been submitted, but was knocked out by Chris Dawkins, which isn't a good look now. He went to split decisions with Tanner Boser and Lair Latifi. Nothing really impressive at all as far as wins. He's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. He will absolutely have to get this fight to the ground and try to get a submission. He is very fast. He's coming off a boring fight with Dontel Mays, who I don't consider to be a very good fighter. He throws a lot of looping shots. Just not really anything that's impressed me with his striking. He looked good last time out, but he didn't get the knockout. So I mean, he does have fast hands and stuff. I could see him maybe catching Lewis with some punches, but I think if Lewis hits him once, he'll put him out. Um, Nascimento shows 58% striking accuracy with 43% striking defense, 33% takedown accuracy with 78% takedown defense. He averages 1.20 takedowns per fight, and he lands on average 4.31 strikes per minute while absorbing 4.76. I wouldn't blame anyone for going against Lewis, this late in his career, but I'm going to go with Lewis to win by first round knockout. I don't think I'll have any money on this fight at all, unless I just win a bunch of money and can afford to put a little something on Lewis or whatever. Um, but yeah, man. So that's it as far as my picks go, guys. And as far as my bets, pull these up. Of course, it doesn't go to full screen. So I got to play on Carlos Ulberg at minus 200. It's a 1 unit play. I got a 2 fight parlay that is Kevin Jousset and Matheus Rebecki. That's a plus 112. You can get it while you can. 2 unit play there. Then I got a 2 fight parlay that is Despaigne and Rezboev, and that's a plus 250, and that's just a small quarter unit play. But a quarter unit on that, would be that'd be what, that'd be 3/4 of a unit profit or something on that if it hits. Either way, it's a small play. As long as my big play on Jousset and Rebecki hits, I'll be pretty good either way. And then as far as parlays go, there were some fights I think that weren't on here yet, but the first parlay is 4 fights. It's Trey Waters, Jousset, Rebecki, and Ulberg. That's plus 389. And then to that I added Tabitha Ricci and Esteban Ribovics. And That's a plus 1,167. I'll leave it up for just a second. Okay. And then to that, I think I'm missing a parlay. I am. To that, I added Despain and Hardy, and that's a plus 3,300. Leave that up for a minute. I don't have the last one, guys. I guess I forgot to put it on here. But if you take this here, and you add two fighters to it, Alex Caceres and Charles Johnson, that gives you a plus 20,275. It's a long shot, but that's why I added the underdogs last. So maybe that'll hit. Sorry, I didn't. I guess I forgot to send it over with this email with all this other stuff on it. My bad. But either way, guys, man, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for caring what I have to say. I appreciate all you guys. Join that Facebook group, post your bets and stuff, and whatever. Yeah, man. So I mean, oh yeah, man. The other day, man, I was very close, guys. To y'all know that there's three things I'm into, man. MMA, horror movies, and fishing. And I've been wanting to do a horror podcast with somebody, just talk about horror movies and stuff for a long time. That's what I originally, when I set up for this, what I'm using now, all the stuff I have now, I bought it so that I could do a horror podcast. But I could never find somebody to do it with. I didn't want to do it by myself, and I was real close to doing one the other day. I mean, I spent 2 days getting ready for this podcast, and it was going to be the first episode, and I was going to do it. I'm not going to tell you who I was going to do it with or anything, um, but we got 2 days. I even took a day off work to get ready for it and everything, and got my notes ready for it and everything. Was ready to go. And yeah, the guy that I was going to do it with was like, "Yeah, we're going to split everything evenly, down the road, and it's all fair." But he was like kind of controlling every single thing, every aspect of it. He didn't want it. It had to be the movie he wanted. It had to be the time he wanted, the day he wanted. Whatever. And because I was like, yeah, I was like, I can't do it, late Friday night or whatever, because Saturday's a busy day for me with all the fights and doing my notes and everything. And he was like, I'm gonna find somebody that's more flexible, even though he was the one not being flexible at all. But either way, I'm working on getting one together, man. I don't know if I'll ever post it, if I should post it on this same channel. I know it's not MMA related or whatever, but it's still me. So I mean, I don't know if you guys would mind if I was posting, episodes talking about horror movies on here. Basically it'll probably just be me and my friends, drinking beer and talking shit about horror movies and stuff like that. So either way, man, I appreciate you guys so much. Love y'all, man. Y'all have a good one. I hope you win some money. I'm out of here.